We all anticipate the impact that Ashton Jeanty will have on the Raiders his rookie year. But who else could step up and join the party? That plus more on Monday's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast for May 5th, 2025.
You are Locked On Raiders, your daily Las Vegas Raiders podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Raider Nation, to another edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast. Thank you so much for making the show your first listen of the day. We definitely appreciate you. If you're catching the show wherever you find your favorite podcast, or you're checking us out by way of the YouTube page, you know we appreciate both. The show continues to grow each and every day, and that's because of your support and the great job that my man Ari does behind the scenes, making sure we look good and sound good each and every day. We definitely appreciate him. Without him, we have no show, so we really do appreciate Ari in a major way. You can shout him out. He's on Twitter at Ari Produces. I'm on Twitter as well, at your boy Q254. And, of course, we got the Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line at 707-654-4693. A lot of great feedback over the course of the weekend, so we'll try to get as much in as possible. Your calls and texts as we close out the show. Segment number 3. Segment number 2, on Friday, we talked about Ashton Jeanty and what my realistic expectations were for him, and I'm anticipating about 1,300 yards, double-digit touchdowns, right? A little less than 300 carries, maybe 275, somewhere around that range, unless he gets a huge workload. If he gets a huge workload and obviously stays healthy, maybe he does push 300, but I got him around 275. So we all anticipate him having a big impact on the Raiders his rookie year. Who else could step up, though, and really help out and be a big, impactful player? Again, when you look at successful drafts, you're trying to look for 2 to 3 impactful players each and every year. So who are a couple other guys that I have my eye on? We'll talk about that in segment number 2. Here in segment number 1, just news and notes, whatever I really collected over the weekend, from front office moves to some jersey numbers. We'll go ahead and jump right into it. Matter of fact, let's talk about these front office moves. And this comes down from Neil Stratton at Inside the League on Twitter, succeedinfootball.com. He has a really good website where you're able to check out these different transactions that happen. He tweets them out, but then he also has a lot of information on his website. So he says on Twitter, the fallout from a new Raiders administration continues as Curtis Knox will not return as personnel coordinator in Vegas since playing defensive back at Sam Houston State. He's worked for the Combine, the National Football Scouting, and the Colts as well as serving in personnel role at Ohio State. Also, Sean Herrick is on the move after serving as the Raiders' senior personnel advisor this season. A veteran of the NFL front offices, he previously served in key roles with the Browns and Packers, and interned with the Falcons back in '89 while in college. Former offensive lineman for the Spiders, and his new team and title are TBA. So they have not been announced at this stage. So it sounds like Herrick is on the move because he's got another role that he's being signed for another team. So I'm not too sure exactly who that's going to be. But, as I mentioned before, when you have a new staff in place, all of a sudden after the draft is over, they start to make a lot of changes when it comes to scouts, when it comes to front offices. They don't have their guys in place just yet. Well, they're in the process of making that happen. So, again, going into what Neil Stratton had to say, and he's on Twitter at Inside the League if you want to go check him out. He was talking about Jonathan Stiegel, and he was a guy that was announced on Wednesday that the Raiders are bringing him in as the team's new assistant director of college scouting. And the move drew, a lot of reactions on Twitter, but a lot of people didn't really know, right? And it's hard to say, okay, is that a good move? Is that a bad move? So Neil went on to say, Jonathan played the game at a college level as a running back at DePaul in the late 90s. Scouts who are ex-college players is becoming very rare. He has almost 30 years in NFL player evaluation. He's entering his 27th year. Worked for the late Tom Heckert at the Browns, Howie Roseman with the Eagles, Rick Spielman with the Dolphins, and the late Mark Hatley with the Bears. And he said those might not all be household names, but they're highly respected in NFL circles. He also goes on to talk about Jonathan Stiegel and says he was part of the Jets staff that drafted Offensive Rookie of the Year Garrett Wilson and Defensive Rookie of the Year Sauce Gardner in the same season, which was 2022. And also there's an award called the Bart List Award, and they presented that the last 4 years, and Stiegel has won 3 of them. He said we hand out 20 to 30 each year, so it's not like he's the only award winner, but it's very impressive. He goes on to say that's a really good resume. If you're a Raider fan, you should feel really good about landing Jonathan. I can assure you that new GM, Jets GM Darren Muge wasn't happy to see him go. So a lot of times we pass on this information, and I know you can say, well, I don't even know, who that guy is or what he does, but apparently landing Jonathan Stiegel in Vegas with the Raiders is a big deal and is really going to help this team moving forward as John Spytek puts together his front office. So as things happen, as transactions happen, of course, I'll continue to update you on that. We talked about jersey numbers, and I've said that, don't go out and buy these jerseys just yet because anything could happen. Well, the Raiders, for their draft class, they actually made it official on Friday who their the players are and what numbers they're going to be representing. And again, unless it's, Ashton Jeanty, who did get the number 2, we've talked about that, I would probably still wait on these guys to make sure that by the time training camp's done, the 53-man roster is done, like there might be a veteran that gets let go and they say, hey, you know what, I'd really like his number instead. So don't go out and buy the jersey just yet, but I do want to let you know what the numbers are. Ashton Jeanty, number 2. Cam Miller, the quarterback, he's going to be wearing number 5. Dante Thornton Jr., the wide receiver, he's rocking 10. Jack Besh, wide receiver, number 18. Tommy Malott, touchdown Tommy, the wide receiver, quarterback, whatever you want to call him, he's rocking number 19. Darian Porter, cornerback, 26. Cody Lindenberg, the linebacker, number 54. Charles Grant, the tackle, number 60. Caleb Rogers, the offensive lineman, the interior, 76. J.J. Pegues, the defensive tackle, is rocking number 92. And Tonka Hemingway, the big D tackle, is rocking number 97 as well. And Daniel Carlson, as I talked about on Friday, I didn't know if he was going to go back to his number that he had at Auburn, which was 38, if he was going to rock the number 8, and he's rocking the number 8. So he switched it up with Ashton Jeanty. Again, I don't know what it cost Ashton, if anything. I don't know what it was. Maybe he just went to him and said, hey, man, I really like to wear number 2. And he said, yeah, okay, no problem. Normally, some kind of transaction happens, either money or they do something for the guy or maybe shows up to his camp or whatever the case may be. But, yeah, Daniel Carlson, Cash Money Carlson will be wearing number 8 moving forward. So that's what I got for you for segment number 1 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Little news and notes, just a couple updates on the front office, and also just some clarification on what rookies are rocking what numbers as of right now. So speaking of rookies, who else is expected to have a big impact on this team their rookie year outside of Ashton Jeanty? We'll talk about that coming up in segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Before we get to that, though, I do want to tell you about one of the great sponsors here on this show, and that is Upwork. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives business flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. If you need help with a marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you with a freelance expert who delivers incredible results. Fast and easy hiring process. You can post a job. It's free and simple. Within a day, with multiple qualified candidates to choose from, you'll get a lot of action quick, fast, and in a hurry. And instead of hiring full-time, Upwork helps you find affordable, top-tier freelancers to scale your business efficiently. What do you have to do? Well, visit Upwork.com right now. That's UPWORK.com to connect with top talent. Upwork.com. Post your job for free. Again, Upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business today. All right, Raider Nation, here we go. Segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Talked about Ashton Jeanty in great length on Friday's show and the impact that he could have his rookie year. But who else do we think could have a big impact their rookie year? Before I get into some of these players that could have an impact, I want you to hear what Todd McShay, who used to be part of ESPN, he actually walked away in 2020 after the COVID year and had a little bit of a health scare, but it looks like he's back better than ever. He's doing his own thing now, and actually it seems like he's in a really good place. I actually saw him at the scouting combine in Indianapolis, and like I said, it looks like he's in a really good spot. Seems like he's, whatever was going on during the COVID year, he's recovered from that, and I had a pretty good conversation with him at the scouting combine. So always root for people to be healthy and always root for people to be able to do what they love doing. And I'll tell you what, he loved what the Raiders did, John Spytek and company, what they did in the draft. And it's funny, we've been talking about it ever since the draft was completed and how this has been one of those that, man, this is a really, really good draft. A lot of folks are saying the same thing. Here's what Todd McShay had to say about the Raiders draft.
The Raiders. Every pick on this list was of value. Jeanty at 6, value.
Yes.
Jack Besh, wide receiver, he's a starter. I don't care. Like, he's a starter.
Oh, he's definitely a starter.
Day one. Physical slot, block down the field. Darian Porter, traits for days. Still developing. So was Reek Woolen when he came out of UTSA. And this guy's got former wide receiver, ball skills. Dante Thornton, speed, explosiveness. J.J. Pegues.
My guy.
Best running back in the SEC,
That's right,
according
baby.
to you.
It's Tommy Malott from Montana State, who's a quarterback, but he's going to be a wide receiver. Julian Edelman is the comp.
Yep.
an outstanding runner, tested extremely well. Doesn't throw the ball well enough. He's not big enough to stay a quarterback, but he's an intriguing prospect.
Like, I do love that draft for Spytech, first year there, and with Pete Carroll. Like, they made some headway starting with Jeanty.
Obviously, Ashton Jeanty is going to be the big headliner, but there's plenty of players to choose from that could have big impacts either immediately or down the stretch. And of course, they got 11 guys, right? We knew that they needed to fill a lot of voids, and knew that they had a lot of holes that they had to fill, just weren't sure how they were going to do it. Well, John Spytek was able to trade back multiple times, collect a couple extra picks, and get a couple more players. And everyone's not going to pop immediately. Of course, Ashton Jeanty is going to be the guy that we all look to have the biggest impact. But who else do I think could have an impact their rookie year? Who else could have a JPJ type, year and a DJ Glaze type year where they're out there the majority of the season, right? I mean, and that was in reality what we saw in 2024, 3 starters, 3 rounds, right? You had Brock Bowers, then you had JPJ, and then you had DJ Glaze. So who could be those guys be this year? One, I'm going to start with Jack Besh. The second round pick, number 58 overall, wide receiver out of TCU. He's going to be, in my opinion, third in Renfro, but bigger, stronger, is faster, and he's able to block. I just think that that's going to be the biggest thing, is that he's going to be able to block. He's a willing blocker. He's tough out there. So I don't think he's going to get a big volume of catches. I don't think he's going to be one of those guys you're going to look at and say, man, that's the number 1 wide receiver. But I think he's going to get important, impactful catches, right? I think he's going to, like I said, kind of play that third and Renfro type role where he, doesn't go in there and look for volume catches, but the ones that he does get are going to be the ones that are going to extend drives, right? Pick up first downs, going to be the ones that, maybe in the red zone where he's able to body somebody up and score a touchdown. I mean, I think he's going to have a big impact in that role. Like, I'm not looking at some big time numbers, some stats wise, but I think you're going to see him out there on the field early and often, especially since he's willing to block. So I'll just throw him in there as a guy that I think is going to have an impact. Tommy Mellott, right, the 6th round pick. He's touchdown Tommy, as many people call him, quarterback there from Montana State, but he's been announced as a wide receiver, like a Julian Edelman type guy. I think that he's going to do a lot in special teams early on. I don't know what he's going to add on the field immediately as far as, an impact at a wide receiver position, or, even like a Taysom Hill type role, how you see Taysom Hill in New Orleans, where you let him be a quarterback, or he could be a wide receiver, or he could be a guy that you line him up as a H-back, whatever the case may be. I don't think you're going to see a lot of that from Tommy Mellott his rookie year. I think you're going to see him making a big impact on the special teams. That's where I look for him to be an impactful player. But the guy that I'm most excited about, the one that I really want to focus in here in segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast, is Darian Porter, cornerback out of Iowa State. One, the Raiders don't have a ton of experience in that position, right? That's actually one of the 2 positions that I look at that I think probably still needs to maybe, be addressed a little bit as they get into training camp, when they get to training camp, just to have, provide some more competition. I mean, I'm looking at that cornerback room, just strictly cornerback. Jacorian Bennett. All right, that's one spot. All right, you feel good about that. He comes back healthy. He was doing really good last year. Okay, boom. Darnay Holmes. I think he's going to be more of a slot guy, right? He's been in the league for a while. He's got 5 years experience, but I think you'll see him more in the slot. They've got Lonnie Johnson, right? He's been in the league 6 years, but he's more of a safety and special teams guy. And, I mean, he'll have a chance to compete, but I don't really expect him to be big-time impact at the cornerback position. Caillou Blue Kelly, right? Couple years in the league. He'll have a chance to compete. Eric Stokes, they signed him out of in free agency. Remember, he was a former first-round pick out of Green Bay. Been in the league 4 years, but he's been injured quite a lot, so he's got to try to find a way to stay healthy. Sam Webb, he's been in and out of the league a little bit, in and out with the Raiders for a couple years. He, has an opportunity. DeCam Richardson was a rookie last year. We know that he didn't have the great rookie year. Matter of fact, I'm sure he'd probably tell you he didn't have a good year at all. But he did get a lot of experience, so he'll have an opportunity to compete. And then everyone else is rookies, right? Mello Dotson, rookie. Greedy Vance Jr., rookie. John Humphrey, rookie. Darian Porter, rookie. And the thing about Darian Porter that you can't teach, he's got size and he's got speed. The guy is 6'4", and if you notice, what the Raiders are trying to do is they're trying to get more Seattle Seahawk type cornerbacks, size. Darian Porter, 6'4". Mello Dotson, rookie, 6'1". Greedy Vance Jr., 5'11". That's the same size as Jacorian Bennett. John Humphrey, 6'2". Eric Stokes, 6'1". DeCam Richardson, 6'2", right? Lonnie Johnson Jr., 6'2", right? I mean, they're trying to get the guys with the length that'll be very, like I said, Seattle Seahawk type cornerbacks. Now, again, Darian Porter's going to have to earn it. He's not going to just be giving it to him because he was a draft pick. But the thing about him, really good in zone coverage. So he's going to have an opportunity to make plays on the ball and feel very comfortable, similar to what we saw Seattle run, when they had Gus Bradley as their defensive coordinator, and they were in cover 3 a lot, and that's when the Legion of Boom really, was formed. Well, he's great at zone coverage. Man coverage, they didn't really play it at Iowa State, so he didn't really get a lot of experience with that. And remember, he's still young at the position. He's a former wide receiver, so he's got the ability to make plays on the ball. The Raiders need a guy that can make plays on the ball badly. They just don't have it. I mean, going up and down that list, JB, no career interceptions, right? I mean, Darnay Holmes, Lonnie Johnson, Kaya Blue Kelly. I mean, there's not a lot of interceptions there. A lot of turnovers created, right? And so whoever they get, they need to be a guy that can also make plays on the ball. I think Porter's going to have that opportunity. Now, again, he's going to have to earn it. It's not going to just be given to him because he was a draft pick. But I do think that that's the guy. I'm not saying he's going to be a starter right away. They might wait a little while, or who knows? Maybe he earns it in training camp and they name him a starter right out of camp, which would be great. That means that he's picking up the game pretty well. But it's not easy transition going from college to the NFL and playing that cornerback position. Ask the 4th round pick from last year, DeCam Richardson. He'll tell you how difficult it is. And he's got the size as well, and he's got the physicality. He has that opportunity to be physical. That's something that Darian's going to have to learn a little bit more as well, especially when he starts to play man coverage. The good thing with Patrick Graham is he's very versatile. He could play the cover 3. He could run that scheme. He could run that zone coverage, or he could play that man-to-man. He can dial that up as well. He's very versatile with that. So that's the good thing when it comes to Darian Porter, trying to make him more comfortable. But that would be the guy that I really look at and say, you know what, he has a chance to make a big impact on this Raiders defense. Now, again, I still think that there may be room to bring in a cornerback or two, at least for competition more in training camp, because, again, there's just not a lot of experience there. I mean, the only guys that have experience are Darnay Holmes and Lonnie Johnson and Eric Stokes. And like I said, Eric Stokes, who's got the 4 years, but most of his time he's been injured, right? I mean, he had a really good rookie year with Green Bay, and then after that, he was all banged up. So, availability is your best ability, right? And he hasn't been available very much throughout the course of his career. So he's got an opportunity to go out there and prove something, and maybe he ends up being the day one starter. He could, but I would still watch Darian Porter. I think that he's going to come up sooner rather than later and get that spot. And again, I think there's plenty of guys to choose from if you start going up and down that list. Again, Cam Miller, Dante Thornton Jr., Jack Besh. I do think he's going to have a nice role. Tommy Mellott, I already mentioned him. Cody Lindenberg, the linebacker, 7th round pick. I could see, maybe someone saying that because the linebacker room is a little bit thin. So maybe, there. Maybe one of the offensive linemen, Grant or Rogers, if they earn a spot. But I think that they're going to really start to be depth originally, and then they'll work their way into potential starters, right? But I think that where they got them and and how they got them, I think that they're going to be able to kind of let these guys that they feel are the starters originally go ahead and try to gel and work together and form that front 5 as far as that offensive line goes. And then if somebody's not cutting it, then one of those guys maybe slides in and is able to have an impact. But I wouldn't expect those guys to start and make an impact very early in the season. And even the 2 defensive tackles, Pegues or Hemingway, the defensive tackle room, as long as Christian Wilkins comes back healthy, is already pretty deep. Right, I mean, you got Wilkins, you obviously got Adam Butler. There's other guys that can make an impact that are on that 90-man roster as well. And of course, the veterans that are there too still got their work cut out for them because, again, as we know, Pete Carroll is all about competition. So they're going to have to compete to try to make sure they hold on to their spot and don't let one of these rookies take their spot. But as far as the rookies that I'm looking at right now to make a pretty big impact on this Raiders team, their rookie year, I would say that if I was putting money on it, which I'm not, but if I was, I'd say Darian Porter is going to be the guy. Again, 6'4". You just can't teach that length. And he's got the speed, right? He's got speed where he can turn and run, and if he gets beat on a move, he can catch up. He can get back into the play, which is big, right? I mean, that's what the great corners do. They're able to, even if they get beat, they're able to use their speed to catch back up. And that's why the question about Will Johnson, the cornerback out of Michigan, that's one of the reasons why he fell, because of the injuries, and nobody knows how fast he is. Does he have makeup speed? Nobody really knows. So Darian Porter, a 3rd-round pick, could end up being a huge steal for the Raiders if he could have that impact that I expect him to have his rookie year. So, and again, Jacorian Bennett's got to come back healthy too. I mean, he's only going into year 3. So you can end up with a very young secondary that's really good if these guys could step up and make some plays. And again, Bennett has to come back healthy. Darian Porter all of a sudden goes out there and, he learns how to be a starter and an NFL cornerback pretty quickly. All of a sudden, you've got a pretty young nucleus for the foreseeable future, something to get excited about. So that's the guys I'm looking at as far as impact players. And any of the other guys could step up, right? They could step up and have those impact players. But just off top right now, before rookie minicamp, before mandatory minicamp, before training camp, those are the guys that I'm eyeing. And the reason why I'm eyeing those guys to make an impact on the silver and black. What's on your mind? Your calls and texts are next. 707-654-4693. We'll close it out hearing from you. Here we go, Raider Nation. Segment number 3 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Your calls and texts are off that Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line, 707-654-4693. Let's start things off with a quick call from Caden from Wisconsin, calling to get a little Raider love in some really tough times. Here he is, Caden from Wisconsin.
Hey, Q. This is Caden, calling for the first time here. I'm from Wisconsin. We lost the Raiders last week. I figured I'd wait a little bit to call, but a couple days before the draft, my best friend's uncle's life was tragically taken from him by someone with some ill intentions, and I was just wondering if we could get some Raider love towards Chris Wheeler and the Wheeler family. Go Raiders, Q. Thanks.
Kane, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate you. Definitely want to show love to the Wheelers, man. Hate to hear about the loss of life, especially when it sounds like it was something that was very avoidable. Sounds like it was very senseless, as you mentioned. So, yeah, definitely many prayers. I know my prayers are with the family. And Raider Nation, I know how Raider Nation bands together here on this show. Anytime someone's in a position of need, we all come together because, well, that's what we're supposed to do, right? That's exactly what we're supposed to do. So we're definitely showing that love. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. And again, hopefully, the Wheelers are doing the best that they can, and you are as well. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate you. Up next, got a text from Raider Morpheus. Hey, Q. I was looking at the Raiders' opponents for 2025. I heard you say you think the Raiders could get 8 wins because a lot of the players were hurt or not available last year. But looking at this year's opponents, please advise where you see 8 wins coming from. The Raiders' schedule is loaded, not to mention the fact we have done nothing to catch the teams in our division. Geno is a middle-of-the-road quarterback in the NFL. I mean, maybe we beat the Chargers twice, but that's a big maybe. So please advise where you see 8 wins coming from, because somehow we end up with a schedule with a lot of last year's playoff teams, such as Super Bowl champs, Eagles, Commanders, Texans, etc. Raider Morpheus out. Just win, baby. Thanks for the text. Appreciate you. Yeah, we'll go through the schedule when it releases. It's the release date is the 14th, so we'll go through it. And I'm saying 8 wins because I think that should be realistic expectations. The team had 4 wins in 2024. Pete Carroll, just him alone, he's never had a season where he's won less than 7 games. So I'm believing in Pete Carroll. I'm believing in these guys going out there competing. You mentioned it, the health of a lot of the guys. The Raiders never had an opportunity. And if they could find a way to score 1 more touchdown per game and not average 18 points a game and get close to 24, I don't see why they can't. There's always a team that is not very good that all of a sudden next year is really good. The Raiders could easily be that team as well. Again, we'll go through the schedule when it's released. It's hard to just say, oh, they're going to win this game, they're going to win it, they're going to split with the Chiefs, or they're going to split with the Chargers, or whatever, because we don't know the order. We don't know when the bye week is. We don't know when they're going to play cold weather games. Like, we don't know any of that. So I'm not going to go through the opponents and just say, all right, well, these are all the wins right there. But we'll definitely do it. It's an exercise that we always do, regardless if we're correct about it or not. But honestly, I don't think there's any reason why the Raiders should have another 4 or 5 win season. Like, that's ridiculous, right? I mean, even in 2023, the Raiders found a way to win what? How many games did they win that year? What was it, 8? Was it 7 or 8? Whatever the case may be. When Antonio Pierce took over, what did he do? Go 5-3 down the stretch, or 5-4? I think he went 5-4 down the stretch. And how many did they win? 7? I don't even remember. But they should get somewhere close to 8 wins. Again, we'll go through the schedule when it's released. But just from the way that they're going about things, I think Ashton Jeanty is going to help Geno Smith out a lot. There are some weapons on this team, and I think that Geno is a decent quarterback. I'm not going to act like he's the best quarterback in the division. That would be false, right? I mean, still got Mahomes, Herbert, and Bo Nix. I think that he's, between Herbert and Nix, I think that he at least matches up with Nix. So, yeah, they could definitely get it done. But like I said, when we get the schedule, we'll actually go through it and break it down there. Thanks so much for the text, so I do appreciate you. Up next, got a call from Bo from the 530. He's calling to talk about Josh Jacobs as a guest on the Pivot with Ryan Clark. Here's Bo from the 530.
What's up, Q? It's Bo from the 530. I'm just calling because I saw Josh Jacobs did an interview with Ryan Clark. I think that's his name. And in the interview, I just caught a clip of it, but he he was talking about the Henry Ruggs situation and stuff, and he was saying that he was really close to Henry and still is, and Henry is still training while he's been in jail or whatever, and there's a chance that he could still get out in like the next year and still play for somebody. My question to you is, can you see him playing for somebody? And you see the second question coming. I mean, is it possible that the Raiders re-sign him? I know that like it's a bad situation, and I know that it's bad, but I mean, I can't say, people. I believe people deserve a second chance to redeem themselves, and there's been a lot of players that have gotten second chances in the NFL, and I mean, it's just, I feel like it would be really cool to see him come back in the silver and black and just start catching those bombs again, man. I mean, I would like to see that. I like seeing people get their second chance and really just, redeem themselves. So I think it would be cool, but what do you think, Q? I mean, that's all I got. As always, Q, I love the show. I'm a truck driver, so my first 40 minutes of the day are the best part of my day, because I get to listen to your show. But then afterwards, man, I don't know. I wish there was a way to listen to your radio show, like even just like the replay, but I'm not sure how to do that. Is there a way? Is it like recorded anywhere, or do you have it on YouTube? I'm not really sure, but yeah, that's all I got for you, man. I love the show, and have a great day. Bye. Go Raiders.
Big Bo, thanks for the call. Appreciate you. And yeah, man, I agree. People make mistakes, and hopefully they get opportunities to try to make good or right the wrong. And in this situation, obviously with Henry Ruggs, you can't bring back Tina Tintor. You can't bring back her dog. The loss of life obviously is tragic. That was a mistake that Henry made. From everything that I understand about Henry Ruggs, is a really good dude, never got in any trouble, and he made one terrible decision. I'd love to see him come back, and I don't know if there's going to be a team that's going to sign him or not. If he can still play, I'm sure there will be a team that signs him, right? That's just kind of how sports are. If you can still play and you can provide something for a team professionally, they'll give you an opportunity. I'd love to see him come back and either dedicate something to the Tintor family, or be a big advocate for not driving drunk, and just kind of doing something like that, like being an example, being able to go talk to people, just kind of like I said, you can't make the situation right. I mean, when there's a loss of life, that can never be right. But if he sits with the family and and they discuss, hey, how can I have a positive impact on people's lives moving forward after this tragedy? Like, I'd be all for that. And I do believe that people can do that. Again, I know somebody will hear it and be like, no, he killed somebody, and so it's a wrap. I get it. But if you could find any way to turn it into a positive, I'd love to see him do it. I don't hold ill will towards people like that. I just don't, especially when I think that it was, he relatively was a good dude and just made an awful decision. So we'll see what happens. We'll see, and I heard that interview on The Pivot. I think Ryan Clark and company does a great job, and obviously listen to what Josh Jacobs has to say. And I know Josh is still really tight with Henry, and he's been kind of advocating for different teams to give him an opportunity. So we'll see what happens when he does get released. But thanks for the call. I do appreciate you. Up next, got a text from Rich in Stockton. He said, hey, I enjoy your podcast. The issue is regarding our recent draft and how Spytek and Carroll and personnel involved in making selections. It should have been kept under wraps. I mean, it's great to hear you say how they planned it out, but that's insider info that shouldn't be shared. Every year, it's the Raiders being on the verge of turning things around. Honestly, I have a lot of hope for this upcoming season. Anyway, I love the show, Q. Go Raiders. That's Rich in Stockton. I think I understand the text, and I think you're talking about the information that Kalen Kaler put out about in the article, where it says that they were kind of doing some misdirection and not showing attention to touchdown Tommy, so nobody came in, and we're talking about the text exchanges that the special teams coordinators all have across the league, and how Tom McMahon had to really kind of play dumb, like he didn't know who he was. I mean, they all know that they're playing those games. They all know that. I don't think that that's some insider information that is some big secret. If it was a big secret that they didn't want out, they wouldn't have told Kalen. right? And I wouldn't have known. I mean, it's right there in the article. All you got to do is read it. So believe me, they won't let anything out that they don't want out. So I think I don't think it's really a big deal. I understand where you're coming from, but I don't really think it's that big of a deal. So thanks so much for that text. I appreciate you. Up next, got a call from Chef Raider. He's calling to make a big prediction on the guy that I talked quite a bit about in segment number 2 in Darian Porter. Here he is, Chef Raider.
What's going on, Q? What's going on, Raider Nation? It's your boy, Chef Raider. Real quick, I just want to talk about Darian Porter real quick. I know you're doing your player profiles coming up. So I just wanted to piggyback off of this call I just heard. I can't remember the name of the caller. My apologies for that. But anyway, saying how Darian Porter is going to be a starter by midseason. I fully agree with that 100%. And my piggyback off of that is I believe that in 2 years' time, so that's him going into his third season, the national media will be discussing Darian Porter as a top 10 corner in the league. I don't think it's too hot of a take, just based on his ceiling. So let me know what you think about that. Y'all have a great weekend. Stay safe. Raider Nation, I'm out. Peace.
Chef Raider, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate you as always. And yeah, I mean, he has all the tools, right? And that's why I was talking about him in segment number 2. I think he has an opportunity to make a big impact. He's just got to figure it out. He's got to go earn it. It's not going to be given to him. There's nothing that Pete Carroll is going to give to any of these players on this roster. Everything is going to have to be earned. That's exactly what he's all about. That's how it should be. It's all about competition. He's got the skill set. He's got the technique when it comes to zone coverage. He's going to have to figure out the technique when it comes to man coverage and how to do that because there's going to be times when they can't be in zone. They're going to need to be in man coverage, and he can't be a liability out there. And so, again, I don't know if he's going to start right away, but I do think he's going to get into the game pretty early and have an impact his rookie year. Thanks so much for that call. Do appreciate you. Got the final one. We'll close out with a text from North Texas Raider. What's up, Q? It's North Texas Raider. I know I'm late to the party, but I just have to say this is the second best I've ever felt after a Raiders draft, close behind 2014. I love all of our picks, but especially the late rounders. Every pick they took from round 4 on is raw, needs work, but all of them have at least one trait that could result in a top shelf player if they're coached right. So refreshing. So often I'm used to seeing us draft guys whose ceiling is a backup. We were scared to screw up the late rounder picks, which was infuriating. Maybe none of these guys hit, but any of them that actually do have potential to be special, that's always a great feeling. As always, love what you do for the Nation. Q, North Texas Raider out. And yeah, I've been saying that a lot when it comes to the 2014 draft. Matter of fact, immediately that following Monday after the draft was over, that was exactly how I felt. That 2014 draft had 6 guys that made impacts on the Raiders, right? 6 out of 8 guys that were selected. This one has 11 guys, so obviously it's going to take more guys to step up to have that kind of an impact. But they were some big-time playmakers. From Khalil Mack being the star in round 1, Derek Carr obviously was the quarterback in round 2, Gabe Jackson. I mean, those first 3 right there, boom, boom, boom. Those are all big, impactful players. Ashton Jeanty, he's that star. He's that home run. He's the Khalil Mack. Right, Darian Porter, talked a bunch about him. He could have a role like a Gabe Jackson, right? And Cam Miller, the quarterback, maybe he develops into something. He was a 6th-round pick. He could develop into something later on. Tommy Millott, touchdown Tommy, talked about him. Jack Besh, like him, what he could bring to the table, especially blocking. This team got a lot tougher. I mean, that again, I look at all these guys and look at all the selections that they made. It just seems like they have a lot of toughness. Tough. I mean, even late-round picks like Tonka Hemingway, J.J. Pegues, like guys didn't even think that those dudes would be around late in the draft, and they were there, right? They were just there waiting for the Raiders to snatch them up. These defensive tackles that the Raiders drafted, Pegues and Hemingway, those are some big dudes. Those are some big monsters. And then they've signed some guys, that are undrafted free agents, and they also have the young man from the international program as well, who's 6'6", 348. I mean, they just got big, tough dudes. And, of course, they've got to all earn their role. They've got to figure it out. But this does feel like the best draft class that they've had since, like you said, since 2014. I've really been comparing it a lot there. And the only thing about it is going into the 2014 year, they didn't have any talent on the team, really. I mean, the talent that they had was minimal. At least the Raiders, if this is an impactful class like 2014 was, they already have talent on the roster too. I mean, think about that. They've already got Max Crosby. They've already got Christian Wilkins. They've already got Jacorian Bennett, right? They've got Isaiah Palomar, right? I mean, they've got dudes already that you feel good about, and now you're adding to it, right? I mean, so you got Brock Bowers, you've got Jacoby Myers, you've got Geno Smith, you've got Big Mike. I mean, there's already talent there. So now if these guys step up, then that makes that talent that much better. So that's something to get excited about as well. So that's what I got for you for today's show. That's all I got time for as far as calls and texts. Still got a text from Big K in Kentucky. We'll get that tomorrow. Also 973 Raider. We'll get that on tomorrow as well. Plus other calls. We'll have more news and notes. We'll continue to deep dive into some of these players that the Raiders drafted, do a little bit of a spotlight on these guys, kind of get to know type thing. And we've actually done a few of them on my radio show, so I'll bring some of that sound to the podcast as well to get you all caught up on that. So there's that. So thanks so much. Definitely appreciate you. And like I said, we'll definitely be back coming up tomorrow. So until then, Raider Nation, it is Cinco de Mayo. So if you're out celebrating, I know it's Monday, enjoy, but be safe at the same time. And we'll be back, like I said, coming up tomorrow. Until then, Raider Nation, take care of yourself, take care of your family, love on your family. Most importantly, as always, just win, baby.